Well, those are the options there for both players. We'll have game number 2 here for you between Stein and Skarren in just a moment. But before we get there, we want to go to our personality tokens here at StarCityGames.com. We had our first set with Jerry Thompson, Brian Gottlieb, Brad Nelson, a whole host of others. But now, for March and April, it's time to talk about our Commander versus squad. Now, keep in mind, this set of 5 is included with entry into any Star City Games Opener Classic and any StarCityGames.com order of $20 or more. Or, of course, you can collect your set by participating in Star City Games Invitational qualifiers. We'll go over each one very quickly here. We're going to kick things off with Justin Parnell. He wanted to be a zombie. I see a Progenitus in the background there. Pretty scary stuff. So congratulations to the host of the show, Jay Parnell. Next up is Jonathan Suarez. He is an assembly worker token from Urza's factory. I don't think they ever made one of those tokens, so Suarez is the only one. As now we move on to who is next? Stephen Green, of course.
A survivor.
Yes. A great Destiny's Child song is Stephen Green as we move on to our next token, which is Jeremy Knoll, our resident plant token. And last but certainly not least is Kyle West, who is our homunculus token here. Again, these tokens are available throughout March and April. We'll have new ones coming in May and June. Again, this set of 5 is included with entry into any Star City Games Opener Classic, any StarCityGames.com order of $20 or more, or you can collect your set by participating in Star City Games Invitational qualifiers all year long. Congratulations to our Commander versus crew and director, Kyle West, on becoming immortalized as tokens here with Star City Games.
Well-deserved honor.
I agree. They make a great show. They really, really do. Frank Skarren, a player who's starting to make a name for himself here on the SCG Tour, is a 28-year-old from Merrick, New York. Last year only played in 4 opens, top 8 in one of them, though. It's not a bad conversion right there for Frank. Open top 8s all time. There are 5. He's also got an invitational top 8. He's looking for that first open or invitational win, however. And apparently his favorite foods are Indian and sushi, rice-based dishes, I suppose.
A little sparse on the factoids.
Well, there's only 1 now instead of 3. I wonder if we can fix that.
We should. 3 facts gives you the ability to string together a narrative.
Yeah.
And, have 1 thing that's funny and then 2 things that are just interesting. 1 doesn't give you a lot of space to play.
Yeah, I agree. And we're missing out on great slides like we used to have, like JD's, for example.
All time.
That's an all-timer.
All-timer.
Yeah. Frank also, as I mentioned, a multiple-time Grand Prix champion in Limited. He loves to play some Limited, but here on the SCG Tour, we're sticking to Constructed, and he's starting to get pretty good at that as well. Frank kind of riding here this weekend with Peter Ingram, a good friend of his, and Jim Davis as well. They made the trip out from New York. Not sure how long that drive is, but I know you got to go through Pennsylvania to do it, and that is whew.
Jersey to Cleveland, I think, around 7 or 8.
Okay.
And they're out on Long Island, so that's probably an extra hour and a half that puts on top. So, yeah, it's not, you could do it in a day, but it's not, it is a long drive.
I just remember when I was young and I had to drive through Pittsburgh. Or through Pennsylvania, sorry. Like all of it, it is a slog, man.
And not a lot going on.
No, there's not a lot to look at outside the old window, as it were. So for them to drive all the way through New York means they had to go through Pennsylvania somehow. And it's not a picnic. Also, what's going on in the middle of Pennsylvania? I don't even know what cities are in the middle.
Harrisburg,
Looks
Carlisle.
Like okay. So I know, like, on one side, like on the left side is Pittsburgh, and on the right side is Philly.
Yes.
And then there's a lot of middle.
Right.
And I don't know what's going on there.
So Penn State is kind of in the middle,
Okay.
and there's a lot that hubs around that.
Ah.
Harrisburg, the state capital, also in the middle of the state. Fair bit that hubs around that. But, past that, a lot of farms, a lot of small communities.
Frank going to start things off with a Monastery Swiss Beer. Now it's a Metamorphose into a Crash Through. Draw another card. Into a Blister Cord Weird. We'll see some attacks here in just a moment. For Stein, he kicked things off with a Horizon Canopy, so it's a painful start into an Ether Vial. Unclaimed Territory, the draw for the turn here for Abraham. See if we can get a little something started here. There is the territory. I presume it's naming human. We'll get confirmation, of course, as here's an activation. That's a champion of the parish. This is a Thalia Guardian of Thraben. Champion will get a little bit larger so long as Abraham remembers the trigger. And we'll pass the turn back over to Frank. Human is the name on the territory.
Thalia, pretty disruptive to a lot of Skarren's 0 and 1 mana spell sequences.
Frank now has a copy of Gutshot that he's got to pay a mana for, but that will take care of the Thalia. That'll also grow the creatures. Blister Cord Weird and Monastery of Swift Spear both get a little bit larger. Next up is Rending Volley to take care of the champion of the parish. Again, these creatures grow a little bit larger. Dylan Donegan get his eyes on Frank. That's beautiful.
So those are worth 4 apiece. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Is he dead?
I count 14.
Okay.
But I must have miscounted because Stein's picking them up.
So Gutshot is so Gutshot makes them 2 power creatures.
Yep.
And then Rending Volley makes them 3 power creatures. Right? So it's 2 spells.
So every spell is worth 2. Just every spell is worth 2 damage.
Okay.
So Gutshot is 2. Rending Volley is 4.
Yep.
The mutagen growths are 6 and 8, plus they're worth 2 points apiece themselves. 10, 12. The power on the weird and the
and then Swift Spear
gets you to 14.
Okay, that sounds right. So Stein's what, at 1?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. We're probably done. No guarantee, but we're probably done. Either way.
Well, I don't know. It's a I guess he didn't have Warrior Champion in hand. He probably would have played it the previous turn instead of Thalia. So
That's true.
there you have it.
All right, well, Frank ties things up very quickly against Abraham Stein. Mono Red Prowess and Humans getting ready for a 3rd and final one. So we'll definitely have some time for that backup match. That's for sure. That is for sure. One thing we do want to talk about here very quickly, though, are StarCityGames.com Invitational qualifiers, everybody. Now, of course, we talked about how you can get those personality tokens at these. You can also get a whole bunch more. First of all, there's some exclusive prizes, like $1,000 to the top 8. We got invitational qualifications for the Season 1 and Season 2 invitationals that'll be taking place at SCGCon Summer and Winter here on the SCG Tour. Plenty of SCG points if you're looking to qualify for that Players' Championship or just qualify for an invitational as well. Top 8 playmat you're seeing here. It's a brand new one. This one here is the Heat of Battle. And, of course, those personality tokens, Jeremy Knoll, Kyle West, Justin Parnell, Jonathan Suarez, and Stephen Green. Go.StarCityGames.com/IQ for more information. If you'd like to bring these to your local store, all you have to do is have your store owner or tournament organizer contact the Star City Games in-store play representative. Easy breezy.
Cash and invites, some extra cool stuff. You also get to play some Magic, which presumably you enjoy doing if you are watching this.
That's true. Otherwise, why are you here?
Right.
It's a big question. A lot of pressure on dinner tonight for me. I'm feeling it.
Because we're here.
We're in the land. Got to bring you some good food. Now I've got some I got some really good places in the holster here, but this Italian joint, Bruno's. How do you is it Ristorante? Is that how it's pronounced?
Restaurant.
It's spelled like
Yeah.
restaurant.
Right. It's a restaurant.
Okay.
Or restaurant.
Well, if it's spelled that way, it's got to be the real deal, right? Is that true?
No.
No.
Why would that be true?
A nice local Italian joint. Now, I know you like to make fun of me for my love for Carrabba's in the Olive Garden.
I don't mind a Carrabba's. It does, when I go to Duluth and I have to eat a Carrabba's 3 nights in a row, it does wear me down. But I'm not intrinsically that, down on Carrabba's.
But, I got to bring the goods here in Cleveland. Otherwise, I'm no good to anybody. Champion of the Parish is going to kick things off here for Abraham Stein. Rending Volley is going to take care of the champion here from Frank. We'll head back over to Stein. That's an unclaimed territory naming Human. There's no React champion. One of the 4 that Abe has after sideboard. This is a Blister Cord Weird. That is a Soul Scar Mage. Warrior Champion's going to make this tough.
So unless Skarren has brought in his copies of Shrine of Burning Rage, he's just going to have to play through Aura Champion. And this is a spot where, Crash Through has an opportunity to be really impactful because that champion's going to do such a good job of playing defense, but Skarren can still cobble together some combo kills here with Crash Through allowing him to just attack over the top.
Yeah. Aura Champion starting to get really popular here. White, 1-1 from Fifth Dawn. Protection from black and from red. Whenever another creature comes into play, you may gain a life, like this Kitesail Freebooter. Trigger. Take a look at your hand. Snag a card. And, of course, gain a life. Mutagenic Growth among the options here in hand for Frank. Looks like a light up the stage as well. And the previously mentioned Crash Through. So we'll see what Stein wants to take here momentarily.
And the question here, I think, from Stein's perspective is how much do you care about Skarren playing full retail for light up the stage next turn? Because the Crash Through is cheap and the trample does matter, but light up the stage has the higher ceiling of the two.
This is a Crash Through. This creature's get a little bit larger. Mountain here for Frank. Yeah. Auriok Champion's going to block Soul Scar Mage. Big follow-up is another Soul Scar Mage. So now we're going to head back over to Stein. There's an Ancient Ziggurat. Now we've got a Champion of the Parish. Trigger the Auriok Champion, gain a little bit of life. Follow-up, Thalia's Lieutenant. It's going to make some large humans, folks. And can't forget that Auriok Champion is one of them. So Champion of the Parish will get 2 counters. The rest will get 1. And now Gut Shot is not really something that Stein has to really concern himself with, as here comes Kitesail Freebooter into the red zone. We'll go back over to Frank now. He'll draw. We know he's got Mutagenic Growth in hand.
So Skarren low on cards, Stein at a high life total and a ton of control over the way combat looks with his Auriok Champion.
Just a mountain there for Frank and passing the turn. Abe's going to play Horizon Canopy and Sacrifice, so he get a little bit deeper into the deck. The follow-up now is another copy of Auriok Champion. If one's tough to beat, I'm not sure beating a second one is going to be possible here for Frank.
I mean, he's got to put together, the combo kill, right? It's got to be Crash Through in a million spells, but Skarren right now just low on resources, not a lot of cards in hand, not really up to anything.
And I would say his life total is starting to become under duress as well, because Auriok Champion is actually starting to attack, as Frank is going to play a mountain and just pass the turn back. We'll go back over to Abraham now. He'll untap all these creatures and draw a card. He's certainly in the driver's seat, sitting in a cool 24 life. He'll survey the battlefield before deploying Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Counters and triggers, of course. Counters on Lieutenant and Champion of the Parish. Life gain from the Auriok Champions, plural. And now, the same attack we saw last turn in here for 4. Frank will draw another card. But I'm not sure there's any way out of this now, because Thalia makes everything a little bit more expensive too. So whatever combo turn that you are envisioning there, partner, just got harder to put together.
Yeah, I mean, your dream scenario was, Crash Through into some other cantrips, into Faithless Looting, into blah, 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 blah. And that's just really hard to execute now in the face of the Thalia on top of everything else going on.
Crash Through going to cost 2. That's where Frank will start his turn. So all of his creatures get a little bit larger. Now it's another copy of Crash Through. Again, they've gotten a little bit larger, but again, Stein is sitting at a healthy 26. And this isn't the way that Frank wants to use his Crash Throughs ideally. Blister Cord weird, looks like it might be doing some attacking here. Not that I think Stein tends to mind. Now, Trample is a thing here, so we'll see how Abraham does want to block. because he does just have one pro red creature. He could throw Champion of the Parish in front of it because it is a 5/5. Some options here for our humans player, pardon me.
Yeah, this attack here is so modest that, if I'm Stein, I'm probably just putting the Oriok Champion in front of it. I don't know how Skarren would possibly come with enough damage to make all that threatening past that. I guess this block here is sort of, if you got a gut shot, the Thalia is the thing that's going to die anyway. This forces some action from Skarren.
Well, there you go. Thalia's going to bite the dust, but Blister Cord Weird has been taken care of. And now it's a Monastery Swift Spirit after combat. Trigger the Oriok Champions because it's for whenever any creature enters the battlefield, both mine or yours, gain 2 life. And now we're heading back over to Abraham, who will untap again all of these humans and draw a card. Slow roll himself a little bit, as any seasoned Magic player should. And now there's a Thalia. 4 triggers, 1 for the champion, 1 for the lieutenant, and then 2 for the Oriok Champions.
And at this point, Stein can send in the Champion of the Parish along with the evasion creature and the pro-red creatures and force a chump block out of Skarren.
I think we're going to see him begin to do that. Every eligible attacker is attacking. Stein is at 31.
And both the lieutenant and the champion are lethal on top of the stuff that can't be blocked because there's 5 coming across that Skarren can do nothing about. That puts him down to 5, and then everything else is attacking for at least 5. So he's got to block twice here just to get another shot at it.
Again, it's that combination for humans. Pretty quick clock, some nice disruption, some cards that have text that matters, all that good stuff. So Frank is going to do some blocking, and he will extend the hand as Abraham Stein is going to win this game and match over Frank Skarren 2-1. Humans will take care of Mono Red prowess, and for Abraham Stein, he starts things off here this weekend in Cleveland at 6-0.
Yeah, I think that match really came down